Appreciate you joining us. Thank you for that. All right, moving on. India has successfully test-fired the K-4 ballistic missile with a range of 3,500 kilometers from the nuclear-powered submarine INS Arighat. The trial conducted in the Bay of Bengal marks a milestone in the nation's defense capabilities, solidifying its second strike capability. The test is part of India's efforts to strengthen its nuclear triad, enhancing its ability to retaliate in the event of a nuclear attack. Defense sources confirmed the missile performed well, with results now under analysis. The indigenously built INS Arighat, commissioned in August, is fitted with advanced K-4 missiles, making it a formidable asset in India's submarine fleet and capabilities. We'll talk about this, and we'll also talk about the welcome addition to India's deterrence with our guests. Joining us on the show is Group Captain Dr. M.J. Augustine Vinod, former fighter pilot, MiG-21. Wing Commander Praful Bakshi, former spokesperson, Ministry of Defence, also joins us on the show. Captain Sanjay Karve, former naval officer, with us on the program as well. And last but by no means the least, Major General Shashi Asthana, defence expert, with us on the program as well. General Asthana, I'll begin with you, sir. Sir, this is obviously a welcome addition, and this is also relevant in terms of the fact that there are two ongoing wars across the world, and for India to display and show its autonomous nature when it comes to its defense capabilities is an important message.
In fact, when we say that India is adopting a strategic autonomy, what goes along with it is that in case of a war, in case of a hot war or a major war, nobody is fighting with us. We have to defend ourselves, and we have to be self-reliant. Now, to be self-reliant, obviously, we have to have all elements of power, all elements of combat power. And when we talk of naval power, the submarines are becoming important because of the fact that China has got the largest navy and more than 79 submarines. So therefore, comparing the numbers, only by numbers also there is a substantial threat. And the fact that although Chinese submarines are going to be deployed in South China Sea and these areas, but then the fact is that they are eyeing for Indian Ocean region and dominance of Indian Ocean region to ward off their vulnerability of the sea lines of communication. So this is the scenario in which we are working, and therefore we will have to contest the Indian Ocean as well from Chinese. And to contest that, obviously, maritime power is important. And as you rightly mentioned in the commentary, the second strike capability is also important. And I must explain to the viewers here as to why it is important. India is following no first use policy. No first use means that we are not going to fire on any other country unless they fire at us, number one, or not only us in Indian territory, but Indian air forces anywhere in the world. Now, if that be so, then we must be able to sustain the first strike, and we must have nuclear assets which are so disposed that they are not destroyed in first strike. And SLBM, that is the submarine launched ballistic missiles, they give such kind of option. And that is why the importance of the Arighat, and the earlier we had Arihant, and now we are also looking at subsequently to get to develop other Man in next year. That is another nuclear submarine, and we are also looking at getting another submarine on lease, which should have happened, but it's going to take time from Russia. So this is the way we are going to look at it. And also the nuclear powered submarines have an advantage that they can be underwater for a very long time as compared to all other submarines. So we have 17 submarines, but we have only 2 nuclear powered submarines. So that's why I think it is important that we have more, and it's also important that we have more indigenous component. So Arighat submarine is actually giving us more indigenous components, and it has also the flexibility of the armament in a manner that it can carry 750 kilometers range, at least 12 of them, and 4 of them of 3,500 kilometer range. So this is the kind of flexibility we have. So this is where the overall, in the overall, shall I say, threat scenario, the INS Arighat fits in, and the current test is important as to how much we have achieved. I think we have fired at the highest range to get as to where we are as far as the specified parameters are concerned. Vineet.
Commander Bakshi, India's growing prowess in India's autonomy in defending itself. What kind of an aura is India beginning to in fact attract, especially when it comes to our defense production, our defense export, as well as a message to all those who perhaps want to trifle with India?
Thanks, Vineet. It's indeed a very, very happy news regarding Arighat launching this missile. What I'd like to tell you is that India is now changing its face. Changing India is no more India of 15 or 20 years back. The policies have changed. The doctrinal approach has changed, and we are going full steam ahead towards self-sufficiency, indigenization program, Atmanirbhar Bharat is a key word, and that is where these two submarines come into news. Yes, we have been getting submarines on leads earlier, and we'll get more. But question out here is that when we are getting a nuclear submarine, a powered submarine, launching a nuclear missile as a deterrence, now that means a lot. The Strategic Command, Strategic Forces Command has taped up its complete work, and this is going to prove itself as the development in South China Sea comes forward. China is increasing its submarine workout in the South China Sea, and there are serious move in increasing naval strength of various countries, especially Quad, where India has been invited, and probably militarization of Quad may take place. This is one other thing which is looming large in the decision making for India as to what to do. But we are ready for that, whereas as our Navy is progressing at a very high rate, DRDO is working overtime, all the shipyards are working overtime in Vizag, etc. And with these submarines and our other ships developing, I know that China has a very large Navy, probably larger than America. But the question here is that our capability, when it is increasing at such a high rate, and our policy is changing, and with the man behind the machine, philosophy which we have, I personally feel we are on a very strong wicket. Yes, but we should not let complacency set in and think that we have achieved a lot. We have started the race. For all these flights last 70 years, I think we had lost a lot of time. But now that we are overcoming all that and inertia, and now we are coming well ahead, Chinese are worried because Chinese have a problem with us on the land, and their Chinese have tasted their own medicine. They have a taste of their own medicine in the last 2 or 3 years, I must say. And this aspect China knows very well. So China will be worried because China is increasing its area of operations right up to Bay of Bengal. It is, showing interest in the Solomon Island. It is showing interest in the island which America wanted, St. Martin's. It is already in in Sri Lanka. It has got 2 ports already there, including Hambantota. All the islands in Maldives, they have created their presence. Gwadar port in Arabian Sea, they have got. So Chinese naval presence is coming up very much, and this progress is unnerving China, because China knows, having decided to make a progress, India is not going to now pull its throttles back. It is going to go full steam ahead, and now China is already thinking, and as you know, Vineet, China has of late started changing its stand vis-a-vis India because of the BRICS requirement which Russia has imposed on him. So China knows very well that it has to play its game. The game is becoming limited for him, and that is giving us time to progress more. This, we should not waste our time, we should not lose our time, and we should now increase our capabilities. Submarine aircraft carrier is coming up. We have to now, make more advanced aircraft carrier. We have a plan already for that. We have planned for advanced submarine. Perhaps we may be now getting more better missiles, and I don't want to talk of hypersonic or etc. etc. But question is, the day is not far where we will be looking at much more things. Probably a nuclear aircraft carrier is going to come very soon. That also is going to be part of our inventory. So we are quite way ahead, and our economy is going to sustain. We are increasing in our economy. We don't have to worry about. Only thing is, our policies now must sustain, and we should walk the talk. We should not be, complacent and forget and change our priorities. If this remains the priority number one, we don't have to worry.
Okay, great points there, sir. Group Captain Augustine, this is heartening news, and this is obviously one that has come, like I already said, with a lot of indigenous effort by our local and current scientists. And the fact of the matter is that if you compare to what India did 20 years ago and what we are doing today, there is a sea difference in our defense capabilities as well as our defense prowess. We've spoken about China, we've spoken about Pakistan, but the fact of the matter is that there is a very, very important overlaid commercial structure to India's growing defense stature as well.
Absolutely, Vinith, you couldn't have said it better. I'll cover a few points which heretofore has not been covered. Couple of very important points is one which I've put behind me. If you look at this missile head, the missile head and the boost technology itself, in itself is a marvel. The head is the one which carries the missile from the subsurface to surface, and in the zero boost phase, the head separation and the boost rocket firing is a ballet dance, and that we've achieved so beautifully. If you see any other SLBM, it appears as if it comes out of the water and it is going to fall into the sea, and it is now waiting for the boost to fire. The boost fires and somehow it takes off. So this is one technology which we have been able to achieve. The high energy material research laboratory, which also made Agni, to make this marvel come true. Another important thing, Vineet, is General talked about the second strike capability. It was also my PhD subject, therefore I'm covering it here. See, for a country which has a declared no first use policy, has to have a very credible second strike capability. हम कहते हैं कि we will not fire the first time, but our second strike will be so solid, so strong that you will cease to exist as a country. ये message है, and that message comes loud and clear. And unless you have a submarine launched weapon system like this, that message is not loud and clear. There is also another aspect, Vineet, I want to tell viewers as well as you, is there's something called dead hand. It's a Russian word. It is called Systema perimeter, which means the dead hand. What happens is, say in the first strike, your entire polity is gone, your decision-making chain has been hit by the nuclear missile of the enemy, and there is nobody, the submarine commander, as a fallback to ask for whether or not I should fire this nuclear missile, is when this dead hand policy comes into play. When it is certain that there is nobody behind me, the hand is dead, is the time the second strike commander, the nuclear missile commander or the submarine commander takes a call, finishes off the enemy. And we have to have not only the standard operating procedure for it, communication protocols for it, and a way to find out whether the polity and the decision-making loop has been hit and the country has been badly hit. You know who else has such capability? Only those countries which have the veto power. They have this capability, and we have this capability now, which in itself, not only firing this K4 missile, which in itself is a very big thing. And a post K4 I want to tell the viewers is K5, K6 are in the pipeline. K6 is going to touch 12,000 kilometers. Halfway, that is from equator to North Pole, is only an average distance of 10,000 kilometers. With 12,000 kilometers range, we can hit anybody from any part of the earth. So that is another message which is going to go loud and clear. Aridaman is on the cards. Arihant is already sailing, and today we fired from the second submarine, which is Arigat. Aridaman is on the card, which is already doing sea trials, which is the good news. And the fourth one, whose name has not been christened as yet, is also on the card. So we will have 4 nuclear submarines. Now, coming beneath to nuclear submarine, why nuclear submarine is important than a conventional submarine? A nuclear submarine submerged does close to 23 knots continuous, which is as good as the speed any carrier battle group will have. That means a nuclear submarine can be part of a carrier battle group. The conventional submarine cannot be, because a submerged conventional submarine does not do this kind of speed, 23 knots. So a carrier battle group today has an underwater support that is either going ahead or behind or on the flanks. The carrier battle group now becomes invincible. You know who else has that capability? Only United States of America, not even China. So we are in a great position as far as dominating waters are concerned, and we as a country do not have any expeditional design, which means if we say we are going to rule the Indian Ocean region, we are going to rule the Indian Ocean region. Taking a leaf from what Bakshi sir talked about, China's prowess, it is great, but China cannot easily come into Indian Ocean region. Why? If you look at the map, there are only 3 straits, Sunda, Lombok and Malacca. Where you go well down south, there is a place called Ombaivatar, which is way down south. There are the 4 gateways to enter Indian Ocean region. We need to put 4 submarines who look out for any ship that is going to enter into Indian Ocean region. And if they enter and before the war and the war starts later, we have ways and means to take them out.
Okay.
Arihant, Arigat is one of them.
All right, we've
So
run out of time. Let me quickly rope in Captain Sanjay Karve into this conversation as well. Captain Karve, your assessment of this good news. There is definitely going to tighten India's image as well as India's security.
This is in fact a very heartening news. If you look at the range of the K4 missile with max all-up weight can fly up to 3,500 kilometers. What in effect it means is the submarine can remain undetected and hit Pakistan from anywhere and hit Beijing or Shanghai, anywhere from Kolkata to Port Blair. Which itself is a big achievement for a country which just 10 years ago did not have a viable deterrent. Now today when we talk of a deterrent, like the general and the previous people mentioned, a submarine is a deterrent which cannot be easily detected, more so a nuclear submarine. Most of our Indian trade is through the ocean and through the sea. It is essential for us to ensure that the seas are safe and people who are transiting through these seas, maybe our own ships, maybe ships of our friendly nations which are carrying trade, they also need to feel secure. Having the Indian nuclear submarines patrolling the Indian Ocean, maybe the Bay of Bengal or the Arabian Sea, they are also well aware that there are submarines, the Indian submarines, which can look after them, which can pose a threat to the so-called adversaries and attack them from any place in and around Indian Ocean. Like it was mentioned that the 4 straits are there. You position one submarine in one of the straits, you have effectively blocked China from entering into the Indian Ocean. The K5 submarine, which is going to follow the K4, has a range of 6,000 kilometers. That means effectively the entire Chinese nation will be under the cover of the Indian submarines. One big advantage of this is that the government has already approved 2 more add-on submarines. This is in addition to the leased Chakra, which should be coming in another 3 to 4 years' time. This apparent delay is because of the Russian and the Ukrainian war. Otherwise, Chakra also would have been with the Indian Navy in another by this year end or next year end. So we will have a viable and a threatening deterrent of 4 to 6 nuclear submarines. Ideally speaking, we require another half a dozen nuclear submarines to ensure that the Indian shores, the Indian waters are kept well safe and secure, and people think twice before getting onto the first strike on any Indian unit, whether in India or outside India.
All right, sir. We've run out of time completely, but appreciate everyone who came aboard and spoke about this important development. We take a short break. Be right back.